Hi everyone, it's Lynnea for the Rabbit Hole Designs, and today we are on day 2 of the June release blog hop. I'm going to be creating an alcohol ink background using the Mermaid Hair stamp set. This little 3x4 stamp set is probably one of my favorites from this release. I love the little fish, and of course the mermaid is super cute. So I grabbed some of my alcohol inks that are light blue and kind of like a green, like maybe a seafoamy green, but I wanted to create an under the water scene. So to start, I wanted to have a really blended background. So I actually have, I think it's 90% isopropyl alcohol in this little squeezy bottle. You could definitely just use the regular blending solution, but I started by placing some of that alcohol onto my Yupo paper, and then I added some alcohol ink and added some more of that, just the isopropyl alcohol. And I'm picking up my Yupo paper and moving it around just to get the ink moving and blending around. So my original idea was to have the top of my Yupo paper left white and then have like the waves or the ocean or whatever at the bottom. And I really liked how this ended up looking once I added in that dark blue and kind of moved everything around. But I thought that it would look weird with the mermaid sitting on top of that. So I ended up actually going back and adding color to the whole background. And you'll see that in a little bit. So I just kept adding the alcohol ink and then adding the isopropyl alcohol on top. And then I brought in my heat tool to dry this. And you can see it's okay to add heat to the Yupo paper, but just keep your heat gun moving. So this is sped up twice as fast as real time, but you can see that I just kept moving that heat gun around, and that formed some of those like harsh edges to create like an underwater wavy pattern. Once I was done, I wanted there to be bubbles, so I just squeezed out some of my isopropyl alcohol onto my work surface, picked it up with a paintbrush that I have set aside just for alcohol inks, and flicked it on just like you would use if you were doing like water flicks. I grabbed a piece of Decofoil silver foil. I always do that just in case I have any tacky areas left on my ink background. I didn't on this one. I'm not sure how, because I always end up with super goopy areas, but that's just a trick. If you have like those tacky areas, just run some foil over it and press it in with your fingers, and the foil will stick to it, and then you won't have those sticky parts anymore. I am now coloring in the Little Mermaid. I stamped and white heat embossed some of the little fish onto my background. I just stamped them randomly and then used white embossing powder. Again, you want to make sure when you're heat embossing that you really keep that heat gun moving. If you saw me there, I kind of brought the heat to the paper and pulled my heat gun away and brought the heat back and pulled the gun away. That way, it's not staying in one place too long, and you're not going to warp your Yupo paper. So to color my Little Mermaid, I'm using my Spectrum Noir Tri-Blend markers. These have become one of my favorite ways to color because I don't need to guess about the markers I'm using to blend together. They are all in one marker, which is super awesome. I wanted to do something fun with the tail. I thought that I would make kind of like a tri-colored mermaid tail. So I started with purple, blended that out with blue, and then I'm going to go in with green. So green and purple don't mix, but I'm mixing it mostly with the blue. I will overlap the purple a little bit, but you'll see it's not enough that I'm going to get a muddy color. It's mostly the purple blended into the blue, and then the blue blended into the green. And I'm just going to finish up the tail really quickly, and then I'm going to add a little bit of a coral color to her little bathing suit top there. For her hair, I'm going to be using the golden brown blend, but I'm starting with the medium color as my dark, and then I will blend that out with the light. And that's going to give me kind of like a honey blonde color, which I thought would go really, really well with her tail. So one of the things I love to do with these markers is to switch it up so that you could get a couple different colors out of the one marker. like how I use the dark or the medium as my dark for her hair. To finish off this card, I stamped the sentiment. I cut that into 2 separate strips and popped the sentiment strips as well as Little Mermaid up with some foam squares. I'm using some clear little bubble gems from the Ink Road stamps. I just love the way that this really accented the background. It's very subtle, but when you turn the card, you can see all those little droplets and they just look like underwater bubbles. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you head over to my blog because I have another video using the Mermaid Hair stamp set for today's release. Thank you guys. See you later. Bye.